Leo, if you're here right now, let me be honest with you from the very first second. You're going to cry on October 2nd. Not out of weakness but because something big, something you never saw coming, is finally about to happen. And no, I'm not here to sell hope in pretty packaging. I'm here to walk with you through something real, something you might have been sensing deep down but didn't know how to name. Maybe it's been showing up as restlessness. Maybe you've been more emotional than usual, waking up at strange hours, feeling like something's shifting. If that sounds like you, then this video isn't random. It's your sign. October 2nd isn't just another Thursday. The skies are aligning in a way that doesn't happen every day. The moon moving through Scorpio is triggering the kind of emotional honesty you can't keep pushing down anymore. Meanwhile, the Sun in Libra forming a powerful trine with Pluto is pulling hidden truths up to the surface, things you've been carrying, hiding, or even denying. This is what I call a soul checkpoint. These transits don't ask for permission, they expose. They open. And if you're brave enough, they heal. You've been strong for a long time, Leo. The kind of strong that doesn't always get credit. You hold it together for people. You show up even when you're falling apart. You've smiled through situations that deserve tears, and you've forgiven without ever getting an apology. And the truth is, that kind of silent strength wears on the soul. But here's what's different about today. October 2nd is not asking you to push through. It's inviting you to surrender in the best way. To let go of what you've been holding in for too long. And yes, that may mean crying. That may mean finally saying, I can't carry this anymore. And in that moment, something sacred happens, space opens up. For peace. For clarity. For the version of you that's been waiting to step forward. This isn't just a spiritual message. It's an energetic shift, and if you lean into it, everything from your relationships to your finances to your purpose starts to respond. Not instantly, but tangibly. Like the universe giving you the nod you've been praying for, sometimes without even realizing you were praying. So before we go deeper, I just want to pause and say this: thank you. Thank you for being here. Every time you like, comment, or subscribe, you're not just helping this message reach others. You're saying to yourself and to the universe, I'm ready. I'm listening. I'm in. Your support keeps this space alive. It allows messages like this to find the people who need them most, and I don't take that for granted. And Leo, if something in you feels drawn to this moment, I want to ask you to take one small action now. Drop a comment below that says, I claim what was meant for me. Say it not just for me but for you. Let that be your signal to the universe. Let that be your first step. Because the rest of this message, you're not going to want to miss it. There's something waiting in this day, October 2, that has the power to shift everything. And I'm here to walk you through it. Ready? Let's go deeper. Leo, let's be honest with each other. There are moments in life when holding it all together becomes the heaviest thing we carry. And yet, so many of us do exactly that. You've kept going, stayed composed, smiled when your heart was breaking, offered comfort even when you had none left for yourself. You've forgiven people who never said sorry, supported others while barely standing, and pretended to be okay just to keep things peaceful. But who's been holding you, really? Who's been the safe place for you to collapse? If no one comes to mind, maybe that's part of why you're here. Not just for an astrology video, but for a moment of recognition, for someone to finally say what your spirit has longed to hear. You don't need to pretend anymore. Not today. Especially not today. October 2nd carries a very specific kind of emotional charge. We're in the energy of a Scorpio moon, and if you know anything about Scorpio, you know this isn't surface level stuff. This is excavation energy. The kind that brings up old wounds, unspoken truths, and feelings we thought we buried long ago. It's intense, but it's purposeful. Meanwhile, the Sun in Libra forming a trine to Pluto adds a twist of divine timing. It's not chaos. It's sacred disruption. And in the tarot spread for this moment, the cards that rise are the Tower and the Ace of Cups. Together, they deliver a powerful, almost poetic message. Let the false foundations fall. Let the old masks crack. Because what comes next isn't ruin, it's release. And what grows from there is real, raw, and radiant. That Tower card? It looks like destruction, and sure, in many ways, it is. But it's not the end. It's the end of pretending. Of forcing yourself to hold up something that was never built to support you. Of swallowing words, denying pain, and calling that strength. The Tower makes way for truth. And the Ace of Cups that follows, well, that's the invitation to feel again. To trust your heart enough to let it spill over. To cry, not because you're breaking, but because you're finally allowing what's been held in for far too long to come out. Let's not forget how powerful tears are. Not the kind you hold back, but the ones that come freely, unannounced, when something inside finally lets go. Those tears are cleansing. They're movement. They're the soul's way of exhaling. You don't need to explain them, justify them, or apologize for them. In fact, on days like today, they're sacred. They're part of the work. So here's a gentle suggestion, from someone who's walked this path too. Give yourself permission. Find a quiet space. Breathe in, slowly, deeply. Hold for 3 seconds. And as you exhale, picture the weight leaving your body, the guilt, the anger, the pressure to be okay. Let it go. Imagine your heart unclenching, your shoulders softening, your soul saying, finally. Finally, I'm being heard. You can go a little deeper with this. Try this simple but powerful exercise. Write a letter to yourself from 5 years ago. Speak to that version of you with compassion. What did they not know then that you know now? What did they need to hear that no one said? Write it all. Let it be messy. Let it be real. And when you're done, don't judge it. Just thank yourself for being brave enough to feel. Imagine now that there's a door inside you, one that's been locked for a long time. You've walked past it, ignored it, maybe even feared what's behind it. But today, you don't need to force it open. Just sit in front of it, acknowledge it, and cry if you need to. That's the key. Your emotions, especially the ones you were taught to hide, are the very thing that opens what's been shut. This isn't weakness. It's a turning point. We live in a world that often rewards composure over authenticity. But let's be honest, composure without connection to the truth will always leave us empty. There's something far more powerful about being able to say, this is how I really feel, and I'm still here. Still worthy. Still enough. This is that moment for you, Leo. Not to be perfect, not to be polished, but to be human. And in that humanity, to rediscover your divine strength. If you're reading this and something inside you stirs, I invite you just pause. Take that breath. And maybe drop a comment below to say, I give myself permission to feel. Let that be your moment of truth, your ripple in the universe. The next part of this journey? It's going to carry you towards something you didn't see coming but deep down, always hoped was possible. Keep going. You're already doing the bravest thing of all. There's a moment in life when something cracks not out of pain, but out of divine timing. A message arrives. A call lights up your phone. A face you never expected to see again appears. And for a second, time slows down. Your breath catches. And deep inside, without even knowing why, your heart whispers, this is it. That's the kind of energy surrounding you now. Not coincidence. Not luck. But the quiet machinery of fate turning behind the scenes and finally showing its hand. If you've been feeling like nothing's moving, like you're stuck in a loop or living in neutral, I want to offer you something bold but real. The stillness you've been living in wasn't absence, it was alignment. Sometimes, when the universe wants to get all the pieces in the right place, it pauses everything around you. It keeps you still, not to punish you, but to position you. And when it finally moves, it moves fast. Right now, we're under the influence of two incredibly charged archetypes, the Wheel of Fortune and Judgment. The wheel reminds us that everything is in motion, even when we can't see it. It's not just about luck, it's about rhythm, divine cycles, the turning seasons of our lives. And judgment? That's the inner call. That's when something beyond logic pulls you forward and says, it's time. Time to answer. Time to rise. Time to return to what you were meant for. And maybe you're already feeling it, had quiet urgency. That strange burst of clarity that hits when you least expect it. You might get news this week that changes everything. A career door that once seemed sealed might creak open. An offer, an opportunity, or a decision you made months ago might suddenly bear fruit. Or someone from your past might resurface, not to confuse you, but to close a chapter cleanly or offer peace you didn't know you needed. And yes, sometimes it's as simple and as world-shifting as a single message that reaches your phone and changes the course of your entire week. This isn't meant to sound dramatic. It's meant to sound like truth, because in my years of guiding people through these moments, the shift almost always comes wrapped in something small and unassuming. Destiny rarely shouts. It whispers. And it speaks in alignment, in timing, in energy. From a numerology perspective, the number 2, the number of today, is a symbol of connection, of partnership, of balance. But more than that, it's about readiness. It's the mirror number. It asks, are you willing to see what's standing right in front of you? Are you ready to receive, not just ask? Because receiving requires openness. And openness requires trust. So here's what I encourage you to do today. Instead of asking, why now, ask, why not now? Write down the words, I am ready to receive the best even if I don't understand how it comes. Let that be your statement of readiness, not to the universe as an abstract thing, but to yourself. Because you are the vessel. You're not just hoping for a miracle, you're becoming the space for it. If you want to ground this energy even more, wear a color that opens your field. Golden bronze if you want to attract steady progress and confidence. Iridescent violet if you're ready for higher insight and unexpected blessings. These aren't just colors theory frequencies. They shift how you carry yourself, how others respond to you, how opportunities find you. And if nothing has happened yet, if this still feels far away, remember this. Just because you haven't seen it, doesn't mean it's not already on its way. The wheel doesn't turn when you demand it. It turns when you're aligned with the moment. And that moment? It could be today. Stay open. Stay grounded. And when that message arrives, because it will, you'll know exactly what to do. Don't chase it. Prepare for it. You don't need to force destiny. You just need to stop blocking it. There comes a point in your life when you stop asking for permission to be who you really are. Not because someone suddenly gave you the green light, but because deep inside, something shifts. It's quiet. It's subtle. But it's undeniable. That shift. It's your soul reminding you, you were never waiting for the world. You were waiting for you. And if you're listening now, there's a high chance that this is your moment. Maybe you've had a dream you tucked away years ago. Something you were passionate about before life got busy, before responsibilities piled up, before fear snuck in disguised as logic. Maybe it was something creative, something daring, something that lit you up in a way you couldn't quite explain. And maybe, just maybe, you told yourself, not yet, so many times that you started to believe it would never be time. But here's the truth most people won't say out loud: you're not behind. You're not late. You're exactly where you need to be to begin. Again. Or maybe for the very first time. The energy of this moment carries the vibration of the Star and Page of Wands, a combination that speaks to renewal, hope, and the raw, fearless enthusiasm of starting something new. The Star reminds you that the dream is still alive, no matter how quiet it's become. And the Page of Wands? That's your spark. That's the voice inside you saying, what if I tried again, without needing to know the whole plan. This isn't about throwing your life into chaos or taking wild leaps without thought. It's about honoring the whispers that keep coming back, the ideas that won't leave you alone, the passion that doesn't need applause to feel real. It's about letting that part of you speak, maybe for the first time in years. I've met so many people who wait to feel ready. But readiness doesn't come from outside validation. It comes the moment you decide to take the first step, no matter how small. So what would it look like to answer that call today? Maybe it means writing down that dream in detail, as if it's already real. Maybe it means reaching out to someone who can support you. Maybe it's as simple as saying the words out loud, I want this. That's not weakness. That's courage. The kind that most people spend a lifetime avoiding, because it requires vulnerability. But that vulnerability? That's where power begins. You don't have to leap off a cliff. You just need to move. And the energy right now is here to support that movement. From a practical place, give yourself a task to complete within the next 24 hours. Something real. Something visible. Open that document. Send that message. Buy that domain. Register for that class. These small actions create momentum. And once momentum starts, everything shifts. From an energetic perspective, there are tools you can use to anchor this activation. Wear a piece of sunstone or amber to ignite your inner fire. These stones don't just sit pretty, they carry warmth, clarity, and confidence. Light an orange or red candle as you plan your next steps. Let it symbolize your willingness to show up. Not perfectly, but with presence. Remember this, your purpose isn't something you have to chase. It's something you allow. When you align with what lights you up, not for applause, not for status, but because it's who you are, that's when real magic begins to unfold. Because despite what we've been taught, it's not success that creates passion. It's passion that creates success. So don't wait for someone to choose you. Choose yourself. That dream you buried? It's still breathing. And it's been waiting for this moment for you to take its hand and walk it into the light. Not tomorrow. Not when everything makes sense. Today. Write the dream. Speak the dream. And then live like it matters. Because it does. And so do you. When you start living in alignment with who you really are, no masks, no hustle to be someone you're not, it's almost like the universe sighs in relief. That's when the shift happens. The energy around you softens. And what once felt blocked, suddenly begins to flow. This is not some abstract idea. It's a pattern I've witnessed time and time again with clients, and honestly, in my own life. The moment you return to your core, your truth, your essence, everything else starts to respond. Love, money, career. They're not separate tracks. They're all part of the same current. And right now, that current is moving. In love, this week carries a gentle but profound potential for emotional reconnection. If you're single, you may find yourself pulled towards someone whose presence just feels familiar. It's not about fireworks or fairy tales. It's a soul frequency match. The kind of connection that feels calming rather than chaotic. A subtle pull instead of a chase. Don't overthink it. Just notice how your body feels around this person. Sometimes the most powerful beginnings come disguised as quiet recognitions. If you're already in a relationship, there's a window here to let go of something you've been holding onto, some old resentment, a silent disappointment, a wall built out of misunderstanding. Forgiveness doesn't always need to be a big conversation. It can be a small shift. A willingness to see your partner through softer eyes. A decision to open your heart just a little more than you did yesterday. That small opening can change everything. On the financial front, the message is both clear and encouraging. Expect the unexpected. This isn't the week to win the lottery, but it is the kind of energy where refunds come through, a delayed payment finally arrives, or a small idea you had turns into a real opportunity. The key is to stay alert and open to what shows up, not just the big breaks, but the subtle ones. An email. A conversation. A recommendation. It doesn't have to be loud to be life-changing. And if you've been feeling stressed about money lately, here's a practical invitation. Take 10% of what you earn or receive this week, no matter how small, and invest it in something that expands you. A book, a course, a conversation, a tool. When you signal to the universe that you trust yourself enough to reinvest in your growth, that signal gets echoed back. Not overnight, but it builds. Career-wise, the cards are calling you into focus. 8 of Pentacles and King of Wands together, they speak of mastery through action. This isn't the time for vague planning or daydreams. It's the time to act with clarity and courage. If there's something you've been wanting to propose at work, this is the day to bring it up. If you've been meaning to pitch a client, send that email. The energy supports bold moves, not reckless ones, but the kind rooted in preparation and vision. Even if no one else sees what you're building yet, keep building. The results are coming not because someone's handing them to you, but because you've earned them. And don't forget the small actions that lead to big shifts. Update your profile, clean up your desk, schedule that call, apply to the job that feels like a stretch. That stretch might just be the doorway. And because we also work with energy, here's a little support from the color world. Today, wear something in earthy brown to ground your ideas in action. It helps you stay steady and confident. Pair it with fresh green, a symbol of growth, hope, and financial alignment. You'd be surprised how even small sensory choices like color can shift your state and your outcomes. If you take nothing else from this, let it be this: when you are true to your nature, the universe no longer needs to test your commitment, it begins to respond to it. The love you desire, the financial breakthrough, the recognition in your work, theory not goals to chase. They are results of your alignment. You don't need to force open doors. You need only to knock with integrity and stand in your truth long enough for them to unlock. And maybe right now is that moment. Try this. Take a deep breath, look at what's in front of you today, not next month, not next year, and ask, what one honest action can I take right now that reflects who I truly am? Then take it. That's where the real momentum begins. Sometimes the brightest lights attract the deepest shadows. You, Leo, were born with a presence that naturally fills a room. People feel it. They gravitate toward it. They lean on it, even when they don't realize they are. And if you're not careful, if you don't stay aware of your own energy boundaries, you begin to confuse shining for others with burning yourself out. This isn't about becoming cold or distant. It's about understanding the value of your own light, and realizing that not everyone is meant to bask in it. What I've learned over years of walking with clients through moments like these is that the most generous hearts are often the most drained. Not because they love too much, but because they forget to filter. They forget to discern. They forget that love and access are not the same thing. You can love someone deeply and still protect your peace. You can forgive without allowing someone back into your sacred space. That is not cruelty. That is spiritual maturity. The high priestess and the devil appear in this moment as a wake-up call. The high priestess is your inner knowing, the voice that never lies, even when it whispers. She's the one that nudges you when a conversation feels off, when a room feels heavy, when someone's energy lingers just a little too long. And the devil? He's not the villain here. He's the pattern. The pull. The habit you've been stuck in of giving too much, staying too long, or holding on to dynamics that feed off your light without ever replenishing you. Your first instinct is almost always right. That gut feeling? That moment when you walked away from a text or left a gathering and felt drained instead of full? That matters. Your body notices what your mind tries to rationalize. And today, the invitation is clear: you don't need more answers. You need better boundaries. Start simple. Write down 3 people, situations, or habits that have left you feeling energetically depleted lately. Don't judge it. Don't overthink it. Just let it come through. Then say the following out loud, not to hurt or cut off, but to recenter. I love you. I forgive you. And I choose to protect my peace. There's a difference between isolation and energetic clarity. You're not here to isolate. You're here to refine your field, to tune your frequency so precisely that only what's aligned can enter. This is especially important for Leos, because your energy is naturally magnetic. Without intention, you will attract everything: people who admire you, yes, but also those who subconsciously want to feed off of what you give. Protecting your light doesn't mean dimming it. It means being intentional about where it shines. Energetic hygiene is as real as physical hygiene. Just like you wouldn't go days without a shower, your energy field needs cleansing too. Try taking a warm bath tonight with sea salt and a few drops of lavender oil. Let the water draw out what you no longer wish to carry. As you soak, imagine your energy field being restored, like light returning to a room that had grown dim. If you don't have a bath, even a mindful warm shower with intention can do the same. Let the water wash not just your body, but the invisible residue of conversations, expectations, and attachments you didn't realize you were still holding. And afterward, play music tuned to 528 Hz or 432's frequencies, known to harmonize your nervous system and repair your energetic field. 10 minutes is enough. Close your eyes. Let your breath deepen. Let your nervous system recalibrate. Protecting your energy isn't selfish. It's sacred. The truth is, when you're grounded, you're more loving. When you're rested, you're more creative. When your light is protected, it doesn't flicker under pressure, it shines brighter, clearer, stronger. So today, let this be your quiet revolution. The moment you finally say, enough. Not in anger, not in fear, but in clarity. The moment you step into your power, not to overpower others, but to stop shrinking for them. Not everyone deserves full access to you. And that's okay. Your light was never meant for everyone. But it is meant for something. And the more you protect it, the clearer that purpose becomes. If you've made it this far, take a breath and let that settle in, because what you've just walked through isn't just information. It's activation. This is more than a message for October 2nd. It's an invitation to return to the center of your life, not someday, but now. Not when the timing feels perfect, but in the exact mess, magic, and motion you're in right now. Because the truth is, transformation never begins in the future. It always begins with presence. And presence is what you just practiced. You've cried when no one knew. You've shown up when you were exhausted. You've healed in silence and dreamed in secret. You've walked through fire and tried to convince yourself it wasn't burning. But here's what you need to know today. You didn't walk through all that to remain the same. You walked through it to become. To rise. And now? Now it's time to claim the crown you forged in the flames. Not the one someone gave you. The one you earned. Everything that's shifting right now in your heart, in your relationships, in your finances, in your purpose seats, all connected to one core truth. The moment you decide to stop waiting for permission, the universe moves. That's the energy October 2nd brings. This is not about waiting to feel ready. This is about recognizing that you are the one who chooses the next step. It's not out there. It's not in them. It's in you. So before you click away, I want to ask you something, not as a content creator, but as someone who's walked this road alongside you. What would it look like if you stopped shrinking? If you stopped withholding your own power, your own joy, your own voice? What would change today if you said, I'm back, and I'm taking back what's mine? That's the energy I invite you to sit with, to live with. And if you feel that stirring in your spirit, let it rise. Declare it out loud, or quietly in your heart, but don't keep it trapped in thought. Comment it below. Write it, not from you. Let the words live. I'm back. I claim what is mine. Feel the shift that happens just from saying that. It matters more than you know. And if this message resonated with you, if it stirred something sacred inside it, and keep it to yourself. Like this video so you anchor the energy. Subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness so you're always connected to the guidance meant for your journey. Share this with someone who might be standing at the edge of their own breakthrough. Be the spark that lights someone else's way. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not too late. You are the builder of something new, and you are beginning, right on time. So what if just for today you gave yourself permission to start again? To stand taller. To walk lighter. To speak louder. To rest deeper. What if your entire life shifted because you decided that today was finally the day you remembered who you are? The crown isn't given. The crown is claimed. And you, dear soul, were born to wear it.